The billionaire caught his fiancée red-handed torturing the maid. After the maid's toddler told him the truth. I still remember the moment the little girl tugged on the billionaire's sleeve and whispered 5 words that made his whole world stop. He had walked past that kitchen 100 times without noticing anything wrong. But that night, a 3-year-old girl looked up at him with tears in her eyes and said the one thing no one else had dared to say. But nobody in that mansion was ready for what happened next. Nathan Hale was 34 years old, a real estate billionaire living in a grand house outside Charleston, South Carolina. He had built his empire from nothing, but success had never made him cold. He still remembered names. He still said thank you to the staff. One of those staff members was Louisa Reyes, 29 years old, the family's live-in maid. Louisa had worked for Nathan for 2 years, ever since her husband passed away and she needed to support her daughter alone. Her daughter Sophia was 3 years old, a quiet little girl with big dark eyes who often sat in the corner of the kitchen, watching everyone with quiet curiosity. Nathan barely had time to notice the small things happening in his own house. He was engaged now to a woman named Vanessa Cole, 30 years old, beautiful, polished, and adored by everyone at his charity events. But Sophia never smiled at Vanessa. And Nathan was about to find out why. Started small. Louisa began wearing long sleeves, even in the warm South Carolina heat. She stopped eating lunch in the main kitchen, choosing instead to eat alone in the laundry room. She flinched whenever Vanessa raised her voice, even slightly. Nathan noticed the changes but assumed Louisa was simply tired, or dealing with personal matters. He never asked. He was busy preparing for the wedding, busy with meetings, busy believing the woman he loved could never be unkind to anyone. One afternoon, Nathan came home early and found Sophia sitting alone on the back staircase, hugging her knees. "Where's your mom, sweetheart?" he asked gently. Sophia didn't answer. She just stared toward the pantry door, her small fingers gripping the fabric of her dress. Nathan felt something tighten in his chest, though he couldn't explain why. That night, he heard something through the walls he wished he hadn't. It was a sound he couldn't quite place at first. Dark, quick, coming from the pantry near the kitchen. Nathan almost walked past it, telling himself it was nothing. Then he heard Louisa's voice, quiet and shaking. "Please, Miss Vanessa. I didn't mean to." Nathan froze in the hallway. He told himself there had to be an explanation. Vanessa was firm sometimes, yes, but she wasn't cruel. She had never raised a hand to anyone in front of him. Surely this was a misunderstanding. He almost turned away. Then Sophia appeared at the end of the hallway, silent, tears streaming down her small face. She didn't run to her mother. She ran straight to Nathan, grabbed his hand with her tiny fingers, and pulled him toward the pantry door. "Sophia, what is it?" Nathan whispered. The little girl looked up at him, her lips trembling. And then she said the 5 words that changed everything. "She hurts my mommy, sir." Nathan's blood went cold. He gently pushed the pantry door open. What he saw stopped his heart. Louisa was pressed into the corner, her wrist red and swollen, a broken glass jar on the floor beside her. Vanessa stood over her, her face twisted with anger, a wooden spoon still gripped tightly in her hand. "Vanessa!" Nathan's voice thundered through the room. "What are you doing?" Vanessa spun around, her face draining of color. "Nathan, she broke the imported olive oil. She's clumsy, she never listens." "She's a person," Nathan said, his voice shaking with fury he had never felt before. "You've been hurting her." "For how long?" Vanessa said nothing. Her silence was answer enough. Nathan knelt beside Louisa, gently checking her wrist. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked softly. Louisa's eyes filled with tears. "I was afraid I'd lose my job. I needed it. For Sophia." Nathan looked back at Vanessa, who now stood frozen by the pantry shelves, realizing the life she had built for herself was crumbling in front of her. But Nathan wasn't finished. Not yet. Because what he did next would decide everyone's future in that house. Nathan called security that same night. Vanessa was escorted out of the mansion, her engagement ring left behind on the kitchen counter. Her voice still trying to explain herself as the door closed behind her for good. Nathan sat with Louisa in the living room until she stopped shaking. He arranged for a doctor to see her wrist. He told her plainly and firmly that she would never have to be afraid in that house again. "You didn't deserve any of this," he said. "Not for one single day." Louisa wiped her eyes. "Thank you for believing us." "I should have noticed sooner," Nathan said. "Sophia noticed before I did." He looked over at the little girl, now sitting quietly on the rug, hugging a small stuffed rabbit Nathan had given her months ago. He knelt down beside her. "You were very brave tonight," he told her. Sophia smiled for the first time in weeks. In the months that followed, Nathan made sure Louisa never had to worry about rent or bills or safety again. He paid for Sophia's schooling. He made sure the entire staff knew that his house would always be a place of respect, never fear. And every time Nathan told this story to friends, he ended it the same way. And sometimes the smallest voice changes the biggest heart. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes kindness can change the world. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below.